Well, I started my career as a young consultant with McKinsey and spent a number of years there mostly focusing on growth and on strategy. After that, I became a professor in a business school. My field is nonprofit management. And the most interesting question in nonprofit management is how you define success. You don't have a single number to define it, so you have to realize that those words, mission, vision, values, are actually the things you use as benchmarks to define your success, and you have no choice but to create a purpose-driven organization, because that is precisely what a nonprofit is. In terms of examples of how to operationalize purpose, in terms of how to make it real, I'll tell you what I'm doing right this minute. So at the City of Calgary, we have 20,000 colleagues who work there. And it's a unionized environment. It can be a bit rule-driven, it can be a bit hidebound at times. And when I first started in this role 5 years ago, I started to move around the organization and talk to my colleagues and said, our job here is very simple. You should be asking yourself every day, multiple times a day, one question. How is what I am doing right now making it better for somebody to live here? It's that easy. We can have endless discussions in windowless conference rooms about wordsmithing our vision. But at the end of the day, building that into the organization and helping every person understand it is really important. Now, if I may, when I started doing that, the senior management, fully on board. The frontline staff, fully on board, because they had realized that too much of their rule-bound existence was preventing them from giving citizens what citizens needed. So the frontline people loved it. It was like a great weight had been lifted off their shoulders and they could now do what they got into this business to do, which is to help people. The interesting issue was with the middle management, because certainly these are folks who had been rewarded for their success in operating in the rules-based system. And for me, as a leader in the organization, to say the kind of attitude that you embody, the kind of work that you show is the key to making this work, sometimes was heard as you are the problem rather than you are the solution. And working through people who've grown up in a system like that can be a very interesting managerial challenge. If we think back 15 years or 20 years to the concept of the balanced scorecard, we forget the balanced part of that, right? And the whole idea that we had then is that the balance was based on alignment with mission. It was based on purpose. And so the performance management systems and metrics have to be based on that. So if you are measuring things that are not strictly related, you can end up with really strange unintended consequences. Community is the building block of who we are. And it works because all of the parties, civil society, the public sector, and in particular business, can work together to improve community. And to me, that's the ultimate purpose. So when I talk to business leaders, I make suggestions about how, I always ask, what are you doing in the community? What are you doing to enrich our community? And I always get the same answers. Well, we have this great community investment program, we support the opera and the ballet and the museum, we work with at-risk kids in schools, and they're great things, and they support lots of nonprofit organizations. But the first answer never is about their business purposes and about their business activities. So I always say, you know what, I love that you do the community investment, keep doing it, but I want you to think about how to integrate community as our highest purpose into the work you do. So for example, go back and talk to your procurement department and look at your supply chains and say, you know what, is how I am buying the services and goods that I need to run my company enhancing the creation of wealth-creating entrepreneurs in my community?